We seek to gather insights into a host of issues, especially concerning religion. Though hugely helpful, religion becomes a prison if it is not transcended. Beyond religion, we meet as human beings, free to love and cherish each other. Here, we celebrate our freedom to be richly and rationally human.
It's interesting to note that many people who start with humble beginnings, they always pray and say, Lord, if you enable me to have such and such possessions and wealth, I will do more for the poor. It seems to be the general thing. I myself may have prayed it at some point, right? Allow me to be more affluent so that I can help a lot of people around you. Now, when you really give us an insight on how wealth sort of alienates you from the real problems of others, is that prayer a valid prayer and one that falls into the will of God?
Now, I very clearly said that wealth in itself is not the problem. Our attitude to wealth and our tendency to depend entirely on wealth, or to use wealth as a sole foundation of our life and our personality, that is when it's a problem. Well, this is an opportunity for me to be a little autobiographical and say something about the philosophy of my life that will answer your question indirectly. I summarize my vision of life in 3 words: grow, give, celebrate. Now, obviously, we can give something to somebody only if we grow. A beggar cannot feed a beggar, right? But the fact that you have become rich does not mean that you will help. Because your attitude could change. Money has the power. Money is a very, very dynamic principle. It's an abstract principle also. It has a power to change your attitude. Because the moment you come into possession, something devilish happens. What you possesses you. That's demon possession.
Right.
And you see that reflected in the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Mark, in the story of the demon possessed in a place called Gadara in the Decapolis. So people become possessed by what they own. At the same time, it is necessary that you grow. For example, in the parable of the talents, somebody got 5 talents. He went and multiplied those talents. And only when you do that can you actually express your gratitude to God, the one who has given you the talent. If you just sort of sleep over your talents, you're showing your indifference to the talent and therefore lack of gratitude to the person who has given you the talents. So that doesn't help. Obviously, there must be growth.
Right.
Make no doubt about it. Growth is spiritual. Right. At the same time, the question is, what do you do with the product of your growth?
Right.
Does the product of your growth become your God? Or does it really become the means through which you express your spiritual robustness? So that's why I say that growth without giving becomes a problem. That is the problem that Jesus underlines or emphasizes through the parable of the rich fool. There was growth, but it is not complemented by giving and giving away. Right? He accumulates and then it becomes the context or means of his death. So there must be growth, but growth must find its proper expression, humane expression through giving, caring, sharing, etc., outreach to people in need. And then it must lead to the stage of celebration. That is, it's not just enough to give, but through growth and giving, you must attain a new quality of life, which can then be shared with everyone. Ultimately, the greatest gift we can give to people is not money or material things. It's our own life, our own personality. So, growth should mean primarily our own total development as a child of God.
Right.
Developing oneself as a child of God to me is the greatest challenge in the world, because personality development in the human or material or worldly sense is a very limited thing.
Mm.
Is virtually persona is the root from which the word personality comes. Persona means a mask.
Mm.
You're just wearing a mask. So it's only a matter of appearance. Even if you are not very developed within yourself, if you go through a crash course in personality development, you'll be able to fool others into believing that you are a great person or you are highly developed, etc., which is not the truth about you. But that's not possible in spirituality, because spirituality is a domain of truth. Pretenses will not work here. So you have to really develop yourself. And if you develop yourself, you can only develop yourself in a holistic manner, which involves the body, mind, and spirit. Right? So it's an all-round growth. And when you develop in that all-round manner, there is always something you can give. Maybe a word of encouragement, maybe a word of advice, maybe a sense of being with the other. Some people can help you just by being with you. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to give you anything. Just be with me, that's enough. Right? No, that was the way Jesus was. Why did people flock to him? Not because they expected some great reward, but because being with him was the greatest thing they could imagine. Right? So that's the level of development we are mandated by Jesus himself to aim at. And once we reach that level, our life becomes a festival. That's the main thing. You see, of course, we have all kinds of festivals in the world. These festivals are an alternative to the real truth. The spiritual truth is that life itself is the festival. Now, since our life is not a festival, we have to invent many festivals to make up for the poverty and the bankruptcy of your life. So what we do is we hurtle from festival to festival. So the landscape of our life is dotted with festivals. So one festival is over, then we wait for the next festival. That's not what life is meant to be. The life that God created is in itself a festival. Right? That's the meaning of growth. So there's no problem even in growing materially wealthy, but our wealth must be converted into riches, which is a matter of our personality development in a spiritual sense, which expresses itself through the joy of giving, not just what we have, but also what we are, and also reaching a level of one's life being a festival. Right. That's a vision with which I try to live.
That's quite profound. Thank you.